Hello, I'm Stephen Bucky Mason, and welcome back to It's Just a Podcast along with Carl McSorley.
Hi.
That was a bit of a delayed lie. Today we're doing Con Air, and we're about to press play on 3, 2, 1, boop! So this is a first in a while because me and Carl just did the podcast for Fifth Element last night, so we haven't done a back-to-back podcast for ages.
Yeah. Been a minute, but yeah, we'll catch up.
Touchstone Pictures, man, I love that logo.
Yeah, it's nostalgia all over, isn't it?
Con Air, basically, I think, like, to me, we were going to do Bad Boys a few weeks ago and we fucking should have. Because Bad Boys to me was lush. I mean, that was the real film where Jerry Bruckheimer's name meant something to me. Nostalgia. The Rock would follow a couple of years later, and that was Michael Bay's second movie, along with Nicolas Cage and all that. And then Nicolas Cage in this, and boom. Obviously, Simon West, who hasn't had a load of films, but more directed stuff like another Nicolas Cage film called Stolen, and more importantly, Expendables 2. So, and Mike Mancina. Fucking music in here is fucking superb, and it should be on vinyl. That whole that proper distorted, like almost like a horror theme turned military kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, this is just one of those films, isn't it? It kind of ticks all the boxes. You got your action, you got your music, you got your visuals. It's one of the few things I could probably find hard to complain about.
The camera just got set up there. Get off that rickety old boat. Do you know what I mean? Now, Nick Cage, I mean, at this point, this is him like really making a play for action, because before this, it was all dramas like Raids in Arizona, Trapped in Paradise. I mean, he's a Academy Award-winning actor by this point, isn't he?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I say, the idea of him being that. He's in that category, you know what I mean? When you're talking about like the Stallones and the Schwarzenegger and that, and Nick Cage, for being not a massive guy, he does action really well, you know. Although this is definitely this is 97, so this is definitely like back when we thought Nick Cage was just a normal guy. You know what I mean? I never saw any of the like really early interviews when he was fucking bouncing off the screen.
Oh, he's fucking wild.
He's still got that kind of serious, I can take him serious kind of actor. And not to say it's a bad thing if you don't take him serious. I mean, some of the newer stuff is fucking out there. Bit bizarre, but like obviously as a person, he's just fucking bizarre, like, and nothing wrong with it. I just don't think I would take him as seriously as an action star anymore.
I mean, away from Con Air a second, I mean, we watched Fifth Element last night, so I went to bed and watched Hudson Hawk. So I've started a new volume of Bruce Willis films, Volume 2, For the Good, the Bad, and the What the Fucks. And Nicolas Cage, I think he's the lead runner now. I think I'm up to Volume 6 of his. So I've seen 60 films just for Lonely Tree Entertainment.
Fucking hell.
And they are wild and out there, but like this afternoon, I've just watched Cosmic Sin, and I'm blaming you. You know what I mean? Because if we did Con Air last night, I wouldn't be watching Cosmic Sin this morning. But talking about Cosmic Sin, Bruce Willis got £1 million a day with 2 fucking days. And Nicolas Cage has been doing that the last couple of years. But when you've got ammunition like Con Air behind you, people will throw money at you to be in their film.
Well, funny enough, I mean, I didn't read that article all the way through, so I don't know if it's like very recently or whether it's just a recycled article. But he looked a fairly aged. I'm guessing it's fairly recent. But it was an article based on what he'd done. He'd done all these VOD films. And he said, at the end of the day, he's never hidden from the fact that all of these extra films he's done in the past are all purely just to be paying off his debt. Yeah. But then again, he's always said that, it gives 110% in his role. Even if he's a bit bonkers, he never cashes in, which I think you could probably agree with that in terms of, like, you always invest in the character.
Pretty, I mean, it's a very, this holds no puns. This happens, we get the massive Con Air, and then the film starts, you know what I mean? But, like, it's pretty hard, like a punishment, like 3 guys jump him. And,
yeah, you would think someone had sympathy for the circumstances that they were in, wouldn't you?
I mean, he's got a knife, he's went to stab him, he's uppercutted, nose bone straight to this cranium. Which obviously in school, like when this came out to me, everyone's like, "Fucking hell, do that!" I was like, "No, I'll fucking kill you." Do you know what I mean? I don't know what.
But that's where it falls apart in the argument, isn't it? Because obviously, it is a harsh sentence that he gets, but the reality is that's the one move you do where you're intentionally trying to do something. You know what I mean? Had you maybe just like punched him in the face and he fell back, I think you'd probably get away with it. But that move is very much designed to say, "I want to push your bridge of your nose up to your brain as fast as I can." But 10 years, man, that's
He's in a lot. Him on the left there, he's in a lot. Especially, I think,
The Lawyer.
Mind Ripper was a film I was like, oh, he's in that. Because this film has quite a big cast. This is really big ensemble cast. The guy who just got his nose bone in it, he's a familiar face from Summit. But like, I mean, Jerry Bruckheimer produced a fucking shitload, man. I mean, he is just the... But this is one of the first films he did without Don Simpson, because Don Simpson died just after Bad Boys. So this is one of the very ones where, you know, he's played his cards really right. There you go, Con Air. Boomf.
Great title screen.
Yeah.
Not great CGI.
No. And already Nicolas Cage's hair is starting.
You know what's mental though? The fact that we've done like these two back to back, because there's actually so many similarities with these two films, even though you'd never think so. You know, you think of like Con Air and then Fifth Element, and nothing even remotely the same. But if you break down the details, they're both films that have a tremendous amount of cast members in it. Some are massive some are massive names, some are not so big names, but they're well known. They both came out the same year. They both essentially cost almost the same amount of money. This was 75 million. So, you know, they are like very similar in the context of just different genres, really.
It's a really big cast. I mean, we'll talk about them as they appear there. I mean, pretty cool shot there, right? Passage of times. Well thought about, you know what I mean? Thought about, like, credits. You know, the use of credits. There's a lot of Dutch angle in here as well, which I like, because I always think, like, you know, funky angles get as much in as possible. Like, there's been a couple of angles where they've been low to the ground there, but it's showing you the passage of time. But yeah, it's again, it's weird. It's Nicolas Cage getting in shape, but he's ripped. Nicolas Cage, when he appears in a lot of his movies, especially Ghost Rider, which is Nicolas Cage, by the way. That's not getting a rant about you and Knight Rider. Fucking, he is fucking ripped in that as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, like I say, he's an action star. You know what I mean? Not the massive build person, but he is. I would say, like he's in line with Van Damme, in my opinion, in terms of like potential of being an action star. Obviously, Van Damme had a lot of skill sets that set him apart, being that he could fight and he had a lot of training there. But, you know, if Nick Cage wanted to train and be martial artist, I think him and Van Damme would be on par. Like.
Oh, I mean, Nicolas Cage has definitely got the ability to act. I mean, some of his earlier roles and just some of the weirdness, especially being in, like, Wild at Heart and stuff like that, when he's wild. So there we go. Read some books.
Origami.
But yeah, I just remember, I mean, I've seen this at the pictures. I remember we shouldn't have seen it. And then Face Off followed quite quickly as well, which, you know, pretty much showed it was the era of Nicolas Cage action, do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Well, that's setting us age apart there, because what's that? That'll be 6. Yeah, I'd be 11 right about now, so so a little bit too young for this, but I do definitely remember watching it on VHS when I shouldn't have been.
Mate, I shouldn't have been in the pictures. They just didn't give a fuck where the concert pictures at that time, man. I mean, there was no one in. You know what I mean? It was like a golden era for movies. I mean, I always do get that nostalgia when I go to concert, and which is very rare between. I mean, I think the last one I seen was Last Letters to Our Lover, and before that I think it was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I've got that nostalgia when I go to the pictures, that particular pictures, but the, like, you know, the sound quality, the seats haven't changed, and I think when I seen Last Letters to Our Lover, it was funny because Ned's son Jack was actually getting trained to work there, and halfway through the film they give him the tour of the fucking cinema while it was open, going, "This is the fire door here," and I was like, and I sent a Jack the message, I was like, "Did that really fucking happen?" He went, "Aye, like I'm a bit worried about this job, like, do you know what I mean?"
It's a weird thing, innit? Because it's a theatre. They kind of capitalise on cinema, but it's not really a cinema.
Yeah.
It was very much the same as Civic Hall in Stanley. I mean, we watched Mission Impossible and for the first 5 minutes, the film was so beyond out of focus, but it was just, I remember it clear as day, talking to the staff, and it was just it was asking them to perform algebra. It was essentially all they were there for, is to press play, and that was it, hope nothing went wrong. There was no kind of set up to be in a cinema. It was just what it was. And to be honest with you, again, just like you said, I've got some great memories of seeing, Three Ninja Kids. I'm going to put myself out there and say, yes, I did go and see Spice World. One of the sacrifices of having a cousin female 2 years younger than us. But yeah, got a lot of memories for watching films on particular cinemas, but that's what they were back in the day.
So this is, we've got the scene there, he's getting out, it's past the time, it shows you his situation. I like here when they run about, the sort of, as they get off in one place and the names and what they give them, I think it's really funny, giving them the rep and showing you who they are. But even the main bad guys, the supporting ones as well, are just as lethal and is just as famous now. So we will chat about them as they just appear on camera. But say there, it's it's established that he's a nice person. It's established that his partner is diabetic and stuff like that. So it crams a lot into the first couple of minutes before it literally sets off like a rocket.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously we always play the game of when does Carl die. And I'll say I'm a diabetic, so I'm probably not going to get much action here. I'm probably going to be sitting in the corner just here he is, and just chilling out until the whole thing's over.
Aye, but don't you survive. Right, so enter John Cusack, who... At this time, he was fucking money. Grosse Point Blank was very heavily tied at this time. He had a very successful, weird, cracky start in the 90s, but he's an amazing actor, and I think him and Cole Meany really work well here, because here comes Cole Meany. He's another big hitter. He'd been in a lot of films, but he finally broke America at this time. John Cusack and Nicolas Cage would go on to work together in Frozen Ground, where John Cusack would probably portray one of the creepiest characters he's ever portrayed, because it's a true story. And then also reuniting a film called Southern Fury, which definitely wasn't worth reuniting over. But yeah, John Cusack is another, it's another element, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, just the up and comers, you know what I mean? Cusack will come off and do a bunch of stuff. Although, pardon me, although I would say that he never quite, would you argue and say he never quite made it massive as big as he could have?
John Cusack?
I feel yeah, hold on a minute. My point being is, I feel like when you look at a lot of his film, he's got a couple of gems, he's got some good gems in there, but he's always been quite comfortably middle of the road for me.
Oh, I mean, he's definitely...
name another massive blockbuster. I'm not talking about
Well, I don't like the film,
but it just has to be well-established, well-known films. I mean, this is still one of his better-known films.
Oh, then hang on, I'll give you that. I'll give you Day After Tomorrow. No, sorry, not Day After Tomorrow. 2020 or whatever the year they ended. That was a big blockbuster.
Yeah, never watched that one too.
Well, it was Roland Emmerich, disaster movie. High Fidelity.
Yeah, I've seen that. Okay, well, again, you're naming 1, 2. Come on.
Stand By Me.
Keep going. Stand By Me. Oh, you can't count Stand By Me. I mean, don't get me wrong, one of my favourite films of all time, but he's in it for 2 minutes.
You can't count Stand By Me. So Stand By Me, he's in... Oh, fuck me, I've watched a lot of John Cusack films.
See, this is it though, because I was about to say, you literally have watched his entire catalogue basically nearly now.
Adult World,
I actually think...
Serendipity. I'm just going to start shouting at you now.
On the level of success in Hollywood, I think he's played it very safe, but very clever. he's made it very consistent. Which, to be honest with you, a lot of actors, they go for the big ones, and then once they flop, you know what I mean?
He's a working actor. I mean, that's the thing about it is. So first up out here, this guy has been in a few films like Pitch Black 2, whichever the fuck you call it, but got a lot of publicity and a lot of exposure for the X-Files. He was even asked to return, and there was nothing wrong with him. He was just obsessed with Scully and a very sinister. And now we get Diamond Dog, Vin Rames.
Big Rames. You work with him, haven't you?
I have. Obviously, if you check out the review for the tournament, I still remember the first time Vin Rames turned and looked at me and wondered what I was doing with my camera. Very nice guy. Very clued on and very crafted, you know what I mean? But even though he's got the body of just been putting in these action stars, he's very good at line delivery, very good at methodical style of acting as well. Again, he has been in so many different variations of stuff, from comedies to action to drama, and now enter John Malkovich, complete psychopath. Who also had worked with John Cusack in Being John Malkovich. Being John Malkovich, man, have you ever seen that?
No, shockingly I haven't.
Honestly, God, you need to see it.
I've always fancied seeing it, but
pretty much, to me, an 8-9 star movie because of how fucking mental it is. There's another John Cusack movie. This podcast is going to be me, as I remember, shouting out random John Cusack movies.
Interesting thing about Malkovich is that he wasn't in love with being on this film, because I don't know if you know this, but the film was in fact being written by the day, and he didn't like the idea of not being able to kind of assess where his character was going and stuff like that.
John Cusack's never looked young. And he had been in A Line of Fire. He had been in stuff like Alive. He had been in some very dramatic roles. And John Cusack's not really he's not really known for mainstream action movies. I mean, he's done Red with Bruce Willis and stuff like that. Or he's even been in Johnny English. He's not really. He's perfect for the role in his line delivery, but that's it sort of throws every cliche of a bad guy in it. That's the beauty about the movie and the cast. And essentially, when Steve Buscemi turns up, that he's meant to be this complete psycho lunatic, and he's just a very whimsy-looking, kind of weasel guy, isn't he?
Well, this is it. He is the epitome of psycho. You know what I mean? It's he doesn't look dangerous. He doesn't look threatening. But the reality is, when you look at him, it's just there's something about him. And it's such a difference because he has got a lot of comedic lines in this film, but at the same time, he's also this is probably the first time he's not playing I don't know, even the goofy character we'll call it, because he obviously, as funny as he is in this film, I think a lot of it is just the way Buscemi delivers his lines and just how it lands. Cause I think obviously in this context, he's normally playing very, dopey. Obviously the way he is with Sandler is very different.
Dave Chappelle there as well.
Yeah, ad-libbed most of his lines. Don't know if you knew that. Most of his lines were improvised, or just let him go with it. So that was a good thing about this sort of generation as well, because now people are you've got to follow the script. Do what we tell you.
Well, the script is what gets approved, but again, even when you've got a script on the day, if it's not working, it's not working. If you get the point across, but again, you can write with people in mind until you get them in front of a camera and the chemistry works and you know what I mean, improv but again, sometimes with these actors, they might not be acting to the actor. You know what I mean? Separate shoot days. I just recently listened to the commentary for Coming to America, #2. And Eddie Murphy was never in the same room as James Earl Jones. Do you know what I mean? James Earl Jones shot with the director, and that's when you rely on the script, and that's where it needs to work, especially in the edit. So I love that. I'm just admiring your cage.
Yeah. Now I'm just looking at some some well-known facts. I'm trying to familiarise myself because there's a lot of stuff I'm reading. I'm going, of course that is, and stuff that I know. But just one thing, as we mentioned quite a lot about Cusack's decision for doing films and stuff like that. Apparently, really hates this. Cusack allegedly dislikes the film so much that he refuses to be interviewed about it. So it's an interesting one.
Well, the thing is as well, I mean, Cusack produces a lot as well, but at the end of the day, there would have been a paycheck there for him. He would have been approached. This is a kind of movie where there's big money rolling in it, so agencies go out, they've probably done auditions, they've probably choices. Danny Trejo, again, at this point, even though Danny Trejo had been in prison and been around a lot of stuff like Baywatch and stuff,
all the things you would say, you've been in a lot of things, you want to go with Baywatch.
I'm just saying, it's the kind of thing, like, he'd been around a long time, Danny Trejo, and this is after he'd been in prison for years. But, like, at this point, Desperado was a big hit on VHS, and obviously from Dusk Till Dawn as well, and then he's in this, so Danny Trejo's really growing, like, in mainstream, like, film. I mean, fucking Machete now, I mean, he's been in so much stuff, but he shows us a massive range of, like, you don't have to look good and be muscly to be an actor. It's all about it's all about, like, not even just delivery lines, it's just like working man, do you know what I mean? He just goes where the money goes, you know what I mean? So
well, he's a very good he's such a good actor that he defies all lords of vampirism because he gets killed in every Dusk Till Dawn when he comes back. He comes back
with no explanation.
But of course, he is officially on the list of actors who have now appeared in a Star Wars product. As I know you won't be familiar, but there is a series called The Book of Boba Fett on Disney Plus, which he appeared in one episode. So he's now one of those.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem to stop.
Nah. Good working man, like we said, and sort of like say has ranged from cameos to starring roles, and didn't take himself too seriously either.
And it's off. So the pain's up in the air. As I say, the breakout's about to happen. The Indian's about to get burnt here, which obviously has a payoff joke later on when he's getting waved at. But
yeah.
See, what the fuck are you doing?
I mean, it's dedication, that, like.
I mean, I couldn't do that. I couldn't swallow anything like that. I couldn't restrain anything like that. It's fucking grim.
I can maybe get away with swallowing it, but there's no way that's coming back up, like.
So, here
now,
we go.
I mean, obviously we're early in, but I'll put it out there now. Is this one of those films that you think should have or shouldn't have getting a sequel?
Oh, God, I thought you were going to say that and you fucking did. What are you going to have it called? Con-C?
Well, you know what it is? I always said
Contracts.
It was an urban myth at school, when I was at school. Back in the piracy days of VHS, there's always this one guy, oh yeah, it hasn't been released yet, it's Con Air 2, and obviously we used to talk about it, what on earth is it going to be about, because how is this situation going to be replicated again? And I could totally see it in the context of, say, having Cusack reaching out to Nicolas Cage saying, obviously we've got a bit of a situation here, bunch of cons have taken over a building, we need you to get inside and, operate. I totally think that would work.
By the end of it, they're all dead except for a few. I mean, I'd said Demolition Man was one film that should have had sequels, but like, Nicolas Cage, he's happy, he's home with his family, you know what I mean? Yeah. None of the actors are really gonna do it. It's a one-off popcorn movie that, but then again, when you think about it, how Nicolas Cage didn't end up in Expendables 2 with Simon West being the director, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But again, I say the issue there is that he's very hard to take serious now. And that's, again, it seemed like I'm taking a shot at him, but it's not really. But if you think of Expendables, as cokey as it is, and, you know, as much as it is a fun kind of action film, there is a level of taking serious. And I think the problem with Nick Cage is, I think it's a risk, because he's either going to turn up and be what he is in this film, or he's going to turn up being like a cartoon character, which is just going to basically just not work, not gel with the film at all. Although I can definitely see him coming into the next one.
Well, Face Off 2's been improved, hasn't it? What he's done in the last
couple of years has proven that he can play a ball if he needs to.
Face Off 2's been doing the rounds recently, and
yeah, definitely. Well, it's supposed to be. It's not in production, is it? I'm sure. Yeah. But official now.
I mean, Nicolas Cage is definitely done Face Off, like.
Well, yeah, but how do you know? Could it be a different face?
Oh God.
Listen, there's been worse films out there that are getting sequel. Think of Knight Rider 2. Ghost Rider 2. That was a joke. Ghost Rider 2 is probably one of the worst films I've ever sat and watched in my entire life. Sorry, Nick Cage.
That was it. So it didn't even look finished.
So basically, just quick Google just to see what it is, but Face Off 2 was proposed sequel to the 1997 Oscar-nominated action thriller Face Off, directed by John Woo. So John blah 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 blah. I don't know what the film is. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be anything. There's all sorts of. Adam Wingard confirmed Cage and Trejo are up for it, or interested, if the word should be used there. So that's not really news. So yeah, we might end up seeing it, because Nick Cage and Trejo are in the part of the career now where they're not necessarily getting big blockbusters. So I could totally see them signing up for it.
I wonder why Nicolas Cage decided to grow his hair and not his beard. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know, because I think it had been a little bit of a cock up there anyway, because I think when he left the prison, his hair was not even touching his shoulders. And then, of course, now it's quite long, so I don't know. I don't think they were paying that much attention. Naughty Trejo.
Hey, God, I was watching Hudson Hawk last night, the bit where the candy bars are all sitting in the car waiting outside of the house, and Butterbean just goes, "Do you want me to rape them?" Says it so casually, and goes, "Just read your book, Butterbean." I was like, fuck me. Like, it's so like, I mean, this has got a lot of derogatory, racist, very vicious, but a lot of the time it comes off as comical. Do you know what I mean? It's the way it's... There's a thing about the film where it doesn't have the harshness of an action. It's got a lot of colour in it. You know what I mean? It looks really polished compared to like what you might have got five years earlier if, say, for example, Van Damme was in the movie and it was along them lines of that kind of action. This has got some shine to it, I think.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It's I don't know, yeah, you're right, mate. It's bright, it's colourful, it's taking advantage of all the different contrasts.
Vin isn't as tall as you might think. Like, that's one thing. When I met him, I was like, "Ooh, because I'm taller than him." And I was,
you know what it is? He is one of those people. I always assume that. He's obviously such a big, broad bloke.
He's very broad. Yeah, he's very broad.
Like, especially like in Pulp Fiction. Like, he's quite a big dude, but then I always assume that he probably wouldn't have been nearly as big.
But he's been in a lot of movies, different varieties. But I don't think he would pop up in the Expendables, because he's been consistent through the Mission Impossibles, hasn't he?
Oh, well, they only just mind, because obviously he gave one of them a miss, didn't he? He was in the second one. I want to say he was in the third one, but then he missed out in the fourth one. I think he only came back because he was another one you mentioned about Bruce Willis getting like paid $2 million for 2 days. I can't remember the figure now, but apparently Big Graham got paid some mega bucks for like a 2-minute scene, and it was like at the end, just like 2 minutes before the credits. So I think he's definitely on board now with the last two, but he took a break from them. But like you say, I mean, when it comes to it, and I think, to be honest with you, maybe it's more wishful thinking than anything else, but I would like to think the next Expendables is going to be the last one. So if there's, well, not the next one, because apparently there's, I don't know if you're familiar, there's one called Christmas.
Well, this is the new one.
That's a prequel to Expendables, so it goes back in time. But then apparently there is definitely going to be an Expendables 4, which I think, to be honest with you, I think you'll get a lot of well-known actors in that genre who are all going to be chomping at the bit, because I think it's going to be the very last one. And obviously, there's definitely going to be a case of we want to be involved in it.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it is meant to be a prequel and all that, and, like, obviously, Stallone's been spotted filming. So, I don't know. But whether they'll call it Expendables 4 and it's a prequel, it's going to be a bit of a weird one, like, so.
No, I think it literally, I can't remember, I don't think it's called Christmas, but I think it is something like that. It's not called Expendables 4.
On IMDb, it's down as Expendables 4, though, isn't it?
I'm going to tell you in a second. I'm sure it's already like released an actual a title for it. Not that Wikipedia is your biggest source of intel, but apparently the source is 2022, so that's a year. So you might be right, mate.
Because when I looked at it, Stallone, like, it almost looks like he would get killed off and leaves Christmas to go on a rampage. But yeah, it's kind of.
Well, I can't really do that because if it's the one I'm thinking of, they might have scrapped the whole idea. But I'm 100% sure that the Christmas film I'm thinking of is actually a prequel, so it goes right back to the younger days. I think Stallone wanted to play around with the CGI. You know, the deep fakes, which worries you, but it's just one of those things. Did you ever watch Grudge Match?
Oh yeah, I've got Grudge Match, yeah.
I thought that was alright. I mean, it was good to laugh at, you know, I mean, it wasn't taken very serious, but the CGI looked alright on that one, like. So from what I've just found out there, apparently it's Expendables 4, A Christmas Story.
Well, that means they need to bring it out at Christmas, don't they?
Well, that's true, but then I think the pandemic's fucked it all up, because to be honest with you, everything that's popping up is slightly out of date. So one, like the first article that comes out is scheduled to come out in 2001. Then obviously there's now saying it's 2021, sorry, but now it's 2022, so my guess is that it's probably going to be this year, but who knows? I think films are just starting to go back to normal again, in terms of anyway. So this is an interesting part of the story, isn't it? Because you would think, like, the easy way to go when it comes to writing the story would be to keep them in the air.
Yeah.
But obviously, that's going to be the safest bet. Obviously, you're only going to make it harder by having them land. So I think that's what I liked about the story, is that it kind of gets you all excited because they're taking over the plane. But then the first obstacle is, shit, we've actually got to land the plane, and we've also got to get away. So
I love, like, the fact that there's a little bit of giveaway, like the cocaine, you know what I mean? You're not thinking like the last minute that he just starts digging into it. Give away the plan.
So I know they were both 77, but I'm just looking here. I didn't realise that Face Off and this came out in the same month.
Oh yeah, I mean, I totally remember it, because I think what I remember is a load of us from school went to see Con Air. We had a big laugh and all that, but this obviously in 18, and then I think when we're all going to see Face Off, and of course there's me leading the pack because I love fucking films, and I think a lot of the other lads were into football, so a lot of us didn't. Like, a lot of them didn't go to football, or there was a youth club night on and all that. So I remember only a few of us, but then I remember, like, the hype was real when we went to see Armageddon, you know, because that was the next Michael Bay one.
Yeah. That's a film you should watch in the cinema, isn't it? Not a massive Michael Bay fan, but I can sort of tally up the fact that Bad Boys and Armageddon's up there is endless fun. You can just keep going with it. Never gets old.
As I said, I mean, even when they brought, Jerry Bruckheimer's done a lot with Will Smith, do you know what I mean? When he stopped doing stuff for a while, but then he came back, he's done a lot of Nicolas Cage because he did National Treasures, The Sorcerer, and all that kinds of stuff, you know what I mean? So,
well, it's still heavily suggested. I don't think you're going to be headlining it, but it's still heavily suggested that Disney Plus are doing a National Treasure series. But I think they're lining it up to be like the first episode will have Nick Cage like pass the torch to somebody else. Well, the thing is, they were a really successful film, but at the same time, that last film leads you off on a massive cliffhanger, basically. So.
Yeah, I mean, the second one's far better than the first one because I recently watched them again, talking about Nicolas Cage movies. And it's kind of like they went off to do Sorcerer's Apprentice and then never came back to do it. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I think it fell into that category. It's not a book, but it fell into that category where it was kind of like you had that, you had Divergent, you had all these different like teen kind of eccentric films that were all very much kind of capitalising off the success of Twilight and Harry Potter and stuff like that, and most of them just didn't really hit. Because Sorcerer's Apprentice was definitely one I haven't seen it all the way through. I think I watched about half of it and I cut it off, but it definitely played on the idea that it could be expanded.
Yeah.
And everyone wanted to do a franchise. So here comes the wave 2 of well-known people, or not so well-known people, but, you've essentially got... he's from Street Fighter, isn't he?
I don't think that's Vega. I think
you don't think it's Vega, do you?
No, I think Vega's the guy's a lot more like smooth skin, like a pretty boy.
Right.
Had to bag and gag him.
See, he's been in a lot of stuff as well, hasn't he? The marshal with the goggles on there. He has a very familiar looking face. I suppose when you get to this film, it is all about... is it him? Isn't it him?
Well, apart from like Steve Buscemi, who's about to make his entrance, who I love from Airheads, this guy here, who took the plane, was like, shut up, Divvy. I mean, anyone like dropping the prisoners off would see them all like just there, but
yeah.
The only other buzz is this guy here, who comes off there. He's from Dangerous Minds, Hackers, and Daylight. And I recently watched Hackers, and he hasn't had much of a career since he sort of disappeared off the radar a bit. Let's do a little bit of typing as I set another month up. Oosh!
Now, the pilot, I'm going to have to look him up because he's definitely been in some...
I think he's been in the X-Files. Bum bum.
MC Gainey. I think he's a TV guy as well. I think he's in a lot of TV series. He just pops up and everything.
I mean, you would clearly send out one of the guys to do that, wouldn't you? Not like... Or you would probably have that pre-done.
Yeah, I mean, true, but then I think when you look at the way the film is, I mean, maybe they're just hoping that he doesn't get back on. Just an easy how to get rid of a potential body that we don't need to worry about.
Oh, yeah, there's a fucking file to transfer called the Beaver People. Do you remember that fiasco?
The Beaver People.
The Gophers.
Well, it took us 3 weeks to figure out what you're on about.
Well, in January of last year, podcast-wise, we did Who Framed Roger Rabbit. We did Tremors together, Transformers. I did Son-in-Law as well as Ski Patrol. We had Mind Ripper podcast, Jurassic World, Lost World. We had Little Shop of Horrors in there. We did Jurassic Park 3, and then we did Flash Gordon. Fuck my life. If you said we did Flash Gordon, I wouldn't remember it.
That was amazing. I love Flash Gordon.
I did Fast Getaway 1 and 2, Dream Machine, and we topped it off by doing all 3 Back to the Future. So that was a very, very productive one.
Yeah.
I mean, we were in lockdown.
That
There you go, the mirror at Mangala.
Garland Green. And it's bold to go with a choice like Buscemi as well, though, because he's a great actor. But if you think about this time frame, you know, given the type of character he's supposed to be playing, you know, it's just not. You wouldn't expect him to be in the list of people.
And also, if this was remade now, some of them would be girls.
Yeah, because you've got to have a couple of. I mean, you have got the girl in there, but she is very. She's very tomboy, so it's not like she kind of plays off on that. But it's like a lot of stuff like that. I mean, I don't mind it. I mean, it's the end of the day. We live in a world where if we can magnify people to get roles that they definitely wouldn't have gotten in the 90s, then why not? It's just when it's force-fed into the idea that it's not necessarily designed to be that way. Give it a character that's meant to be a girl, then I'm all on board. It's like, tell you what came out, which I didn't even know was a thing. Zach Braff is the main guy in what looks to be like a reboot of Cheaper by the Dozens.
Oh, it's because she's black and he's white.
She's black, he's white. They've got a kid with a wheelchair. They've got all the time. Oh, I haven't even watched it. I just looked at the main menu screen. It was just like, yeah, that looks like it's taken a pretty great concept and just decided to go with, let's really go off on it and just do everything. And the videotape.
The tape.
I wonder how much take did that take, or do you think that happened? And I just thought, actually, that works.
I mean, that's written in the script. The reel runs out, rolls off, and hits the officer's leg. That's the kind of.
Right.
That's how you write shit like that, man. It's.
Come on.
Fuck. God, he's sweating.
Alabama, innit?
Just tell you this morning, yesterday when we were on about Lee Evans movies, is a film that I think contemplated as sort of his bombing, because pulled on over 200 total film magazines in the house today. They'd be in the back of the car all week, and it was Freeze, and it's just Lee Evans looking in the mirror and all these faces distorted. I was going, there's another Lee Evans movie. Boom.
Funny, like, because obviously we were seeing last night, like, film magazines a thing of the past now, like. But what I used to love about, I'm sure it could have even been Empire or it could have been Total Film, but I always got a kick out of it was like Hindsight Corner. It basically would give you like a description of somebody advertising their film, but then it would say like years later, like what the actor actually thought of the film, you know?
Oh, right,
like on the first bit, it was like, it's such a great project, all these people I love, and I love working with this certain person. And then like 10 years later, it's like, it was a mistake from the get-go. I hated every second of it, but, you know, had to do it by contract.
There you go, and there's the Indian just laughing at him, getting his revenge.
Yeah, by Chappelle. Who would eventually appear in later on as well, you know? You think that's the last you see of him?
Well, he's definitely dead. But, like, how is he dead, though? Like, is there no air in there? But then Nicolas Cage is down there, so there is air. But he's kind of like, did he get ran over?
But it'd be low pressure, that's all. But then again, it's not like a commercial flight aeroplane. It's much, much smaller. It's only got, like, one particular level on, and then a slight smaller section below.
Not like Snakes on the Plane where there's fucking almost like an escalator up and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, there's like 4 stories. Where is it? Where indeed?
He's quite sinister, the cartel guy.
Yeah. It does make you want to see like another Cyrus of Irish film. You know, like had they done it and said, "Oh, let's do like a prequel to."
Oh mate, by the time this
film
film's
be like out there, and he could have done. I mean, obviously he did everything under the sun, so he could have really done some interesting thing with that character.
he's definitely dead by the end of this movie because it's one of the fucking biggest.
No, I mean like prequel wise. I think back in the day, he could have. He's young enough, and he, you know, in a concept, you know, he's got like that phase where had he grown a beard out rather than a goatee, you could have just said like, oh, 5 years earlier. This is a good partnership. I like how these bounce off each other. You've got the dickhead and the straight lace.
Nah, he's a good actor, Coleman. He's been around for years.
I always think of Star Trek. He would just, you know, like how you always mention, like
X-Files.
You know, X-Files.
I think he was in the X-Files. To be honest with you.
I think he did a couple of good films, but I think he basically was. I think he made his career out of Star Trek. He was on for a few years.
Another film that came out this time, 2 films were very similar. Under Siege 2, Dark Territory, and Broken Arrow have very similar elements of like trains loose, or there's a self bomber loose and they're trying, but there's like a base of operations where it's all going down, and very similar.
I'll be honest with you. Broken Arrow for me took 2 views. Like I remember watching that on VHS and being slightly like disinterested. I was like, it was good enough, but it was just like I remember like watching it thinking, nah, that was alright. It's not great. But I think I watched it years later, and I was like, that's pretty decent actually.
It's got a lot of action. It's got a lot of stunts. I think Christine Slater, John Travolta. The weird thing, what's really weird now is, especially revisiting the Scream movies before I've seen Scream 5, is that the main theme of Broken Arrow is used as Dewey's theme from Scream 2 onwards. It's very weird that happened. But I always looked at Broken Arrow, if you look at it and go Broken Arrow, John Woo, Face Off, John Woo, John Travolta and Nicolas Cage, and then Wind Talkers, which is Nicolas Cage and Christian Slater and John Woo movie. So you could look at them as a trilogy almost.
Yeah. Oh, good. See, that's it. The classic is the Holy Trinity, isn't it? But very solid performances all around. So, you know, pretty decent. And I just quickly had a look at taglines, and it's an infamous, another one with not very good ones. I mean, taglines are hard to come by, but like, seem like the last couple of ones I've done have always been like, oh, this is shit. Let's have a look. So, one wrong flight can ruin your whole day, which I think is the best one of all the ones. A Jerry Bruckheimer production, which is that's not a tagline. That's just telling you it's his production. Buckle of June 6, again no tagline, just telling you a date.
I know, but like I mean that back then as well.
Get Ready to Fly, which is fairly is. And you got Buckle Up on its own. They were deadly on the ground, now they have wings. And then of course the last one, Welcome to Con Air.
Welcome to Con Air is the best, yeah.
Not too bad. Oh, well, that was like one of the top lines, isn't it? It's just like when he first takes over, it's like Welcome to Con Air. It's like very, very stylish.
There's a film I watched called Black. It's got Van Damme and Lundgren in. Blackwater, that's it, Blackwater, because there's another film called Blackwater as well, and that's meant to be a submarine that floats around and keeps prisoners from escaping, so they're always in a submarine.
Oh, okay.
The concept of them always being on a plane so you can't get them.
Yeah.
I always said, like, if someone does a crime that bad, like, there's an island, go play, like, that's it. Do you know what I mean? Like, the whole world, right, there's an island, do a massive perimeter around it so you can't get in, can't get out, and then dump them on the island and let, you know what I mean, minimum primal shit. And just let because there's a film called No Escape, have you ever heard of that? Ray Liotta?
No, I know which one you're on about, but I've never seen it.
So they all just get sent to this island, and it's like half of them are fucking cannibals, and the other half are like, we come in peace. And Lance Henriksen's like, we are living in peace, and it's like a fucking war. Not a bad idea for a concept of a film, but then not a bad idea for like, right, the prisons are overcrowded. We'll stick them on an island. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's plenty out there, isn't there?
The fittest of the fit.
Although, have you seen M. Night Shyamalan's new film?
Old, no.
Great concept, poorly delivered to the end. So basically, you've just got this island, and it's a holiday resort, and the manager of the holiday resort cherry picks like all these different people. Says, "Oh, would you like it? I can't advertise it to everyone, but I've got a private beach, lovely place just to chill out. Would you like to have a look at it?" And obviously you don't see all these people interact immediately, but they eventually go, "Oh yeah, let's do it." But what ends up happening is that they get put on this part of the island that, for we'll call it, scientifically, they can't get off. Like, they try to go back the same way they come, and then when they get so far, they black out, and then they wake up back on the beach again. And basically what it is time run completely differently. So for every, I can't remember what it was, like for detail, but it would like for every hour is actually 5 years. So then you've got like this family who got like 2 kids, and the kids are starting to like weirdly grow up really fast, and everyone's like, it's got such a great concept, but just like M. Night Shyamalan does every single time, he tries and probably makes it such a twist at the end that it ends up taking itself out of the film. He's
another guy who basically, after like big hits like Sixth Sense and like Unbreakable, whatever, when his name's always above, but like unlike John Carpenter, who was able to keep his name above the title and stuff like that, sometimes he should hide his name because like it should.
Well, that's true. But then there's also like one of the biggest surprises was Split, when I don't think like we all watched that, and like not one person ever considered it being connected to another really famous film that he did.
But yeah, but obviously that hit the ground running.
Actually, that makes all the sense in the world.
But then Glass came out so quick, and Glass had that very abrupt, bleak ending, which I was just like,
it was awful.
You know what I mean? That's not the way to end it. And like,
yeah, it was almost like I say, it's the Marvel universe, and there's actually loads of them out there, and it's just like, what? And Bruce Willis, I mean, I feel sorry for him. I wonder if he knew that was how his character ends up, because that was just a spit in the face for like all the years to come back to doing a character, and then have him go out there that way.
Well, that was it. It was just like, was that it? But that's the problem. I would say we'll get back to this film, but like he's just a director that really should have went, I hide my name and just put from the director of Sixth Sense or something, not like have his name hiding above, because not a lot of people can pronounce his name as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously for those who don't know, I'm like hearing impaired, so I always had a hard time with his first name. Like, I hear M. Night Shyamalan, but to me, like, I'd never dared say his first name, because I just thought, is it Emmett? Is it a different name? Because M. Night just doesn't seem like it sounds like it makes sense to me. So, like, I was always, that guy who directed that film.
Well, there he is. So there's Dave Chappelle. He's sort of stuck, isn't he?
I told you Bimbo would come back. He could still be alive. Might just be in a coma.
I mean, they can breathe there, so, but like, knock him. But he's obviously been crushed.
I was going to say, there's obviously, well, I don't know. It looks like he's been strangled by something, but then I can't tell.
He's stuck in the wheel
that he was wearing when he was running.
Now, in a minute, we're about to have Don Davis appear, who plays Scully's dad in the X-Files, and also a big part of Twin Peaks, and pops up in movies like Cuffs and stuff. Just randomly, again, another guy who's been in probably hundreds and hundreds of productions, just because he can deliver and he's like a character actor. He's the guy who's Pinball's car lands on.
Right, okay.
You'll recognise him when you see him.
Yeah.
There you go.
Pinball.
Put the bunny back in the box. It's not yet, but
it's not yet, but infamous line.
So there we go. This is Don Davis. There you go.
I don't know that bass.
He's beaten absolutely loads.
He's beaten everything.
Here he comes.
It didn't look terrible, that mine. That does look like Dave Chappelle falling from the sky.
It's just a life cast of him, isn't it, really?
Yeah. I mean, I dare say that's lying around in some studio somewhere.
I mean, and perfectly honestly, right, I wouldn't be surprised if that scene there was shot in Canada, because obviously a lot of the X-Files was shot in Canada and all that. And Don Davis, like when an actor, you see him in loads of stuff, again, it's not like Hollywood. They might live near Vancouver and other places that have a lot of film sets going in, do you know what I mean? It's like when we hired a lot of the American-speaking people in Bulgaria, they live in Bulgaria, and he goes, well, I live here, and this is where all the movies are, and there's no one else to cast American, so I get all the roles. And it's just like...
smart play, innit? Huh?
Yeah, there was a couple of them, and like, every time I see a movie, and like, I watched a film called The Shepherd, and The Shepherd's like... It's the same locations we used as the tournament, but they've made it look like Mexico rather than us make it look like the Northeast. But then they have all the same fucking actors in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who, like, at the end of the day, they turn up, they get paid, they wait around, they get a full meal, and they go home. And you know what I mean? It's like, some of them are just, they're just fucking pros at it.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, a lot of people don't realise that. I mean, we did some shots for Downton Abbey, the museum where I work, and obviously that's kind of the number one thing. People keep asking, "Oh, did you get to be in it? Did you get to be in it?" It's like, hell no. They've got professionals for that.
Oh yeah.
Like, no, not the actors, but they're like be an extra. And I was like, no, the extras are professionals. They are like they make a living out of being extras, and it's like it's 50 quid a day. Yes, it's a lot of standing around. Yes, it's waiting and stuff like that. But like you say, you get your meal, you get your 50 quid a day, and easy going.
Oh, that's it. Like professional like that. It's a big thing, and it's a union thing as well, you know.
Union, yeah. Although that was one of the nice things about the War Below Us, which is featured on Amazon, was also on Netflix as well, which was very out there. They didn't know who was going to buy it. They didn't know if it was ever going to be bought. So like when they turned up to film with Beamish, it was just like, oh, by the way, does any one of you want to actually be in it? Because we need as much bodies as we can get. So you do get from one extreme to another. And no, I'm not bitter, but I didn't get to go in the film because they wanted people with short hair and no beards. And I wasn't willing to sacrifice my looks.
I think John Cusack's a brilliant actor. I tell you what, like, his fucking sister's wild.
Well, June.
Because obviously, wasn't Toys meant to be one of our podcasts, and like, Paul Ray wasn't prepared for it.
Yeah, because well, to be honest with you, little did the viewers know that there was an entire list of podcasts that we were going to do that we never get around to. So, obviously, we probably will eventually at one point, because it'll just be on the catalogue of, why don't we do that one that we mentioned 6 months ago?
Well, the ongoing thing, because normally when we start a series, we like to finish them, but getting the three of us together has been quite hard since everyone returned to work. I mean, I see Paul nearly every other day anyway. And,
yeah.
I mean, I thought it really pushed at Christmas, but we didn't have enough time at Christmas to do Die Hard 2. But obviously Jaws 2, I thought we would have got Jaws 2 in the bag. We almost got it recorded a while ago. And me and Paul Ray actually watched the end of Jaws 3 at work when we started it a year beforehand. So we were all ready. Because obviously everyone's like, yeah, we've got the classic out of the way. Yeah, we've got like Jaws 2, you know what I mean? It's not a bad sequel. It's got the best tagline ever. Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the movie. But then when you think about the idea of a podcast and people talking about Jaws 3 and 4, fuck my life. Do you know what I mean?
It'll be a struggle, but to be honest with you, mate, if we got through Predators, then I think we'll be alright.
Still a really good moment in podcast history when Carl got very overexcited that he missed what I said and went on a massive rant about Predator for 20 minutes after the podcast had finished for me to go, no, Carl, I said we'll do The Predator.
Yeah. Listen, I'm passionate, what can I say? And I'm deaf, so I will hear things that aren't actually out there.
So there's going to be a skit set up here as well. John Cusack is about to steal his car.
Yes.
The lass as well, he just being the assistant, she looked familiar, but it wasn't firing who it was. But you know, again,
yeah.
Sometimes you're like, oh,
she's got a. I mean, I don't want to like demean her because I'm sure she's done some stuff and she's really good actress. But she's always one of these women who I always think is very attractive for a lady with short hair. Short hair is not my style, but well, every time I watch the film, I was like, yeah, she's fit. But this is really clever, like, because obviously, again, we're talking like loads of different levels here. I mean, this film could have easily just stuck to the sky and been done with it. But now, not only do you have the sky, but then you've got them button heads as well. So even on the ground, you've got two different circumstances going on.
But one thing you've got to think about here as well.
A lot of little layers going on here.
You got to think about here as well, though, because at the end of the day, they're not on the sky. They've obviously created a really big set. So you keep that. This set, this could totally be happening in where the junkyard is. Do you know what I mean? So the base of operations is probably the junkyard, and then they've got the offices will be built there. You've got like him run the scene. So the primary thing, even though it's all on an airplane, when you think about production wise and how to film it in location, it all would have probably been in the same area.
Yeah. The infamous line, put the bunny back in the box. Which again, the decent fight scene here, you know. To capitalise on the fact that you can't really move, you can't do much. But
well, I mean, that's it. I mean, normally, like, choreographing a fight scene, and you think, I can do this, that, there, punch here and that. It's more the case of, like, less is more with that, but, like, a scuffle, you know what I mean? And it's confined area.
Yeah, scrap in it, yeah. Because
if you're in a fight like that, in, like, there's them Dutch angles I was just talking about there, like, just on the angle as you zoom left and right. But again, I'm thinking here as well. If you think about Broken Arrow, that was filmed all in a very similar locations.
Right.
And you've got to think that, like, all like you know, when they made like, all the old cowboy movies and stuff like that, the desert.
I'm gonna say, where do you think it's a location? It's gonna be like somewhere like Arizona or, you know.
Yeah, Utah, Arizona. Yeah, I mean them rocks there. They're just they're just so iconic in loads of different movies, and that is definitely not John Cusack driving that car on that shot there.
Nah.
Two men went down, one comes up. The other night, though, when I was messaging the movie group, I mean, I imagine I was half asleep, like, because that was my first night on the couch while I was trying to isolate away from Brit before I caught COVID. And, like, the X-Files movie, when the kid falls in the hole, and it's the guy from the third Fast and the Furious movie with that proper southern, like, Alabama accent. And I was like, fuck me, it's him as a kid.
But see, apparently Nicolas Cage went to Alabama to get his accent right.
But then you think about it.
All over the joint in this, mate. So film locations, we have Utah.
Right.
It's quite. That's got quite a few. At least 4 or 5 locations there. We've got California, Utah, Indiana had about 3 or 4 scenes. South Grand Avenue and West, which is Los Angeles. No, wasn't Canada.
No, Canada.
It was at LA. And then you got the Strip at Las Vegas, which we know that is the plane crash scene. Spoiler alert. Hard Rock Cafe, which we know. Yeah, because they do some travelling. Obviously not compared to some film, but when you consider what we actually see in the film, it's quite a large space.
Well, that's it. It's this production moves and stuff like that, and like, it comes down to a good location manager, what's needed for the script, but again, I think this film as well. I think the director of photography. I think some of it's absolutely class. Like, it just the colors. The color leaps out the screen, down to like how drained of color and how blue the airplane is to the stripped back desert. It's you know what I mean. As much as an action film, and plus we're not taking much of it in here, but Mike Marchina's music all the way through it as well.
Yeah. Should say just because it's quite relevant at the moment. I don't know if you spotted it, but that was $1.06 or $1.08 for a gallon of petrol there.
I was going to put this post on Facebook, but I might as well chuck it on this podcast instead. I've been driving since I'm 18. I'm now 38, right? I have never driven anywhere in the world, ever. And if anyone said any other different, they were like, fucking hell. Never paid any attention to fuel prices, right?
Yeah.
The only reason I am paying attention to fuel prices now is everyone on social media is going on about that or Russia, right? And what's going on with that. No one's talking about COVID, and I am sitting here right now tested positive with COVID.
Well, unfortunately, mate, COVID's old news. I mean, it's ridiculous because it's not, but it really is. I mean, the reality is I've got the general public talk to me about doing certain things that I do in my building, i.e. taking photographs of people in costume. So therefore, people want me to go into a closet with a family of anywhere between 4 and 5, could be more, could be less, but then get them undressed, put them into costume, photograph them, all in a space of like a couple of meters between us. And the fact that one woman like just kicked off with it the other day because like when I mentioned we were shut and that we hadn't been open for 2 years, she goes, why? And I'd say, well, there's COVID. Oh, that's all done now, man. Not know that.
Aye.
All the relegations have all dropped. It's not important anymore. So I think you'll find it is, and even if it isn't, I choose not to do it. And she just wasn't impressed though. But again, it's just not cool anymore.
It's just like one of those things. I was going to write it, then I thought, I'll write it, I'll be like, right, I'll giggle at myself, I'll post it, and it'll make no fucking sense.
Now the guy, I'm just, they're all running up for the freedom there, right? And I'm not being funny, right? But the guy just threw his shirt in the air and did like a forward roll. Mate, it's fucking the desert, it's got rocks and everything, is that not hurt?
Oh, it will hurt. I mean, it's not like a big rock as well, when the loads are small and...
Like, oh, you didn't want to be doing that.
I mean, imagine that guy, road rage, right? You get everyone having road rage. Him running, on you fucking idiots to a plane. Do you not need any help? Do you not need any help?
Sand.
No. Then here we go. Can't just get off and run. They're grounded.
No.
I think I mentioned on the podcast last night, so anyone who's listening to this should be listening to the Fifth Element one first, but that Fred Durst movie, when we're just thinking about locations there before, there's a location where obviously the town keeps killing the people who come in, so the population stays the same. And There's a bit where they're running for cover through all the abandoned cars, and I tell you what, a very sight to look at, you know, like an actual location of just a junkyard of cars.
Right.
But obviously here they would have just brought them in and built them up, you know.
Well, this is it. I mean, obviously it's there's a playground here to just blow shit up in it.
I remember
another great scene where you kind of, you know, playing the role of bad guy, but in the best way you can.
as well, the scenes, like sometimes you'll get, I mean, these guys are definitely there in the moment, but like sometimes Nicolas Cage, like nowadays, will not be acting to that, and it's all, I mean, there's a shot there. But like when you get a low budget movie, you probably wouldn't, you would block it so the actors wouldn't be there, do you know what I mean? Just so you can get them in the movie and get it out. But like scenes like this, and you go, they're actually looking up at him, and he'll be actually doing his lines and making a day of it, and like they each bring their own like gems to the table. I mean, it's just one of those things, you know what I mean? That kind of shot there. As I said, like the shots in this, and like there's that Dutch angle again, looking up and on an angle, just fucking class, like.
Yeah. But it makes a difference, like, doesn't it? At the end of the day, it's like,
that's a very iconic gif there, when he winks. When it pans in and winks.
Oh, Garland on the loose. In the world's most protected fence.
So this guy here, I don't think, I mean, he might be gay. I mean, it doesn't care, I don't care if he's gay or not. But like in Dangerous Mind, he plays a very hard, like thug. He does it in Daylight, but like in this and Hackers, he carries that. He's almost got that Pauly Shore flair going on. You know what I mean? It's quite.
I mean, I'll put you, mate. I thought it was a woman.
No, he's definitely a guy.
Oh, I know that now, but for years and years and years, I always thought, definitely a chick. Obviously, they're getting the whole jailhouse woman kind of look, where she's going to be butch and she's going to be rougher on the edges. But that's always interesting when I see it. Now, obviously, he's playing obviously a very camp and over the top character, so he does sell it.
Shake that light.
Recycling Sandoz.
He's got a very evil look, him.
I'm going to say, I just checked him out there. He hadn't done anything major. Like he definitely does resemble the Vega character from Street Fighter, but
I mean, we were meant to do Street Fighter. I don't know what the fuck happened to that podcast. That was another one that was on the plans, but not the effect. Boop boom. Here's Danny Trejo, his trademark. I need to get my top out and show my tattoo every fucking time. Like another film Danny Trejo was in, and he even gets his name at the start of the movie, and he's basically only in the title sequence is Anaconda.
Right.
He's the guy running away from the snake, and then he's on top of the totem, and you don't know the snake's got him, shoots himself, but had to have his tattoo out there as well.
Yeah.
I mean, fair play to him. Like, I hated the top of my chest tattooed. Like, so anyone who's got like the middle bit of their chest tattooed down to their stomach, fucking hell, like that's a different breed. Like,
alright. Nah, I've only got an upper chest.
I am trying to save to just get my nipple around there finished and all that. There's Chico. Is that Chico? Let me have a good look.
Chico time.
Hang on. Is it Chico? Guy holding the gun? Yep, there's Chico, mate. I told you. He's fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
Hey, Chico. Chico, no. He is in so many fucking movies. There you go. It's a Chico movie. Boom. Right there, and then you would just put the gun down when you.
Well, I mean, this is it. I mean, obviously, even when he finds out he's laughing, he's still very.
You get your money there with John Cusack, man. That look in his eyes and that deep breath, you believe that he's in a situation where he might get shot and he's trying to work out what the fuck's going on. So, like, that's where, you know what I mean, John Cusack's good. But I don't, like, John Cusack, he's in quite a few action-ish movies, but I don't rate him as an action star at all.
No.
I think he's somebody who can absolutely obliterate the fourth wall. Like, in High Fidelity, man, he is just carrying that movie, as in, like, you know what I mean? High Fidelity is a very, very unique movie. I haven't got myself around to watch this, the TV series yet.
Yeah, because they seem to be popular as well, though.
I mean, it must be hot. I mean, wearing a white shirt in heat, man, Jesus, sweating.
Well, listen, I mean, it seemed to be the whole MO of this film is just fucking sweat.
The thing is, as
so
well,
you probably should just to give you a heads up, just in case it's ever crossed your mind. You definitely don't get your nipple actually tattooed, mate. That was not fun.
Oh God, no.
No, that was a drunken mistake on my behalf. But yeah, just when you mentioned it there earlier on, I thought I'd throw that out there.
I mean, like, Nicolas Cage, white tank top in the desert, you think, Christ, how do you keep that fucking clean? That's someone's job right there, you know. Like, Polaroid camera out every minute, checking to make sure it matches for continuity.
Yeah. You think they would just scuffy it up and then save themselves the hassle?
But, you know, there's people who will, you know, nitpick like that, like continuity buffs.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I say, it's like I've never really understood it because, like, it's a whole different level of fandom. You know, like whenever I watch a trailer, I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I'm definitely going to watch that. It's like scary when you'll say, like, it drops to, say, let's say randomly, it drops to 12 o'clock. You'd always guarantee that you'll get like something on YouTube like an hour later. You know, going 32 Easter eggs you missed in this trailer. It's like,
no.
It's like frame by frame. It just must take some hours.
I mean, that's the thing with me is like, the moment, me personally, I've spent a lot of time remastering footage from 20 years ago. And I mean, tonight before we, because I can't do any mastering when we're doing a podcast because the laptop would be too loud near it and I've got to type a lot. I've just seen shit, man. I don't even fucking remember. Do you know what I mean? And like, I'm working on that now as something unique and different. But that's why I don't bother like with reviews and stuff because like everyone's got an opinion. Everyone could be a movie critic. We are what we do now. If people choose to listen to us, that's their own thing. But like people who sit there and just, you know, you go like as you just said there. 50 things you missed in the trailer, and there's like 4 fucking adverts, and then there's adverts in the middle, and there's adverts after. I mean, I don't even monetize the channel. I can't be fucking bothered. I make videos because I like making videos. I love films because I love experience talking about movies. But like, fuck me, that just sounds painful. Sitting all day making a video about that, or like you're right. As soon as there's a match done and like people make fake videos like AEW or what happened at AEW's pay-per-view and they've made a shitty thumbnail and then just a wrong completely clip just to get the clickbait, but they still have adverts on.
It didn't matter to watch the video, does it? As soon as you click on it, it's automatically counts, doesn't it?
I mean, if people click on ours thinking it's a film, but like, at least I haven't made them fucking watch the adverts first.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And then they should know it's just a podcast. It's in the title.
Boom.
Although I should mention, right, okay, so the guys are pulling the plane, and it was just something I noticed before, and I thought it was really odd. You've got all these con men pulling the train by rope, pulling the plane by rope, but then you've got this one random black guy whipping them. It's just like, what the fuck? You know, it's just like they're all in the same boat. You know, grab a rope and start pulling, mate. Start whipping your mate to get him to do it faster.
Yeah. And then here comes the thing with the flying car, which it works because this is a practical effect. I don't know how they've done it, but get ready for it.
Oh yes, it's a sport car, isn't it?
Oh, it doesn't happen yet. Sorry, no, it's the.
No.
This is the little one. Yeah, it's the other version. Very similar. I mean, the stunt in Face Off when the plane goes into the thing and the whole thing explodes and stuff.
Yeah. Fucking Nicolas Cage is randomly looking at homes.
Are we going to have fake fire or we're not? Let's have a look.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it's going to be real.
Boom.
A very cool scene as well.
Fucking bleak like.
Yeah.
Did you rewind Fifth Element last night and watch that guy get blown up the floor and he's still standing there?
I didn't know, but I did think I should have.
Look at that, man. Cool guys run away from explosion. Look at him. Wow. Good stunt, man.
So hold on, there's a mixture there, isn't there? I think there's a lot of real fire there, but what Nicolas Cage is running from, is that real?
It could be green screen. It could be very clever perception of the camera lens.
It looks good.
Yeah.
It doesn't look nearly as bad as the ones that we've mentioned in the past.
No, I mean...
That's definitely a real explosion there from the past. Drugs will end you, son.
I need a piss. How many?
I'm not being funny, right? But I'm taking a piss there and then, mate. Fuck that. I'm not sitting there bloody worrying for my life and then worrying about nearly pissing myself. I'll just go.
Well, that's it. You piss there, then roll over.
Yeah. I'm being honest with you, just whip it out and take a piss. You know what I mean? If you can't do it on your sides, fuck it.
There you go. Right, so this is
There's
still...
no guaranteed to make me chuckle though.
I'm gonna.
That's a rock.
That's a rock. Right, I want to say this now. Like this attack here is very similar to Edge of Honor with Corey Feldman, where it's 3-4 kids and there's a convoyage of cars of adults with guns and you name it, like fucking sunglasses on. And when they take out the truck with two of the biggest trees, and I cannot express that much on this podcast. I am talking fucking redwoods of California fucking sized trees, right? Like I am talking 20 times bigger than the tree the cast from Predator lift up to fucking fool that. I am talking about a fucking truck and the three kids lift these boulders up and they come down simultaneously and crush this one car. If you have never seen anything like it till you've seen that movie, like that's an ambush, which is absolutely hilarious.
I like how they played on the sinister of the teacup being broken, as if you think, oh fucking hell, has he killed the girl?
Well, it's thrown there. It's just a glorified cameo for Steve Buscemi because he has a very similar role in Armageddon. He's the lovable clown of the movie in a way because he's riding a space rocket and stuff like that, isn't he?
Well, I think he goes insane.
But Steve Buscemi can really turn on the
temporary
creepiness.
Space insanity or something like that.
Yeah, he can really turn on the creepiness. Steve Buscemi, like.
Oh, I mean, like I say, he's an absolutely stellar performer. You know, like you say, he has so many different ranges. And I always love the fact that he re-signs up to the fire brigade in 9/11. So before he was an actor, he was a fireman. And apparently in 9/11 he actually he re-enlisted or something. I don't know how it works, but he basically just signed up to the fire brigade and worked like a stupid amount of hours to help them out. And that always kind of goes down well with me with that sort of person.
Boom. There's some real big effects.
It's a good plan.
There's some big ass explosions there, mind.
Again, it's a playground for them. You can just tell they've found a complete isolation and thought, right, let's get some C4 and blow some shit up.
Well, like it's an abandoned airport in the Strip. That'll be its backbones of that location.
Yeah. They've probably bought about 20 cars that are just in a junkyard and let's do it.
Here comes the music.
I like how Nicolas Cage knows how to have fun. Mai Tais and Yahtzee.
Take that kick to the face. That's a big ass shotgun to do that.
Impressive kick, like.
Everyone knows how to hot wire stuff, don't they? And the wires are always perfectly cut. Can you imagine trying to gnaw through some of them? Trying to get it fucking going.
Yeah. Problem is, it's one of those things where, like, cars in this day and age, I bet you like, if you like rub up against a curb the wrong way, everything fucking falls apart. But you want to try and access those wires deliberately, the fucking plastic will be indestructible.
Did you see that kid a few nights ago who fucking... It must be somewhere in LA. Sent his dad's Tesla down this mountain and the car just fucking completely, like, huge jump and like proper smashes in the ground and completely wrecks the front of the car. Idiots, man.
Well, that's Tesla for you.
Someone's dead. Yeah, it's pretty grim, like.
I was going to say there's a lot going on, like, when you think about it, isn't it? He's raping her, cops are on one side, bad guys are on the other, it's just all over the place.
It'll be quite a you know, like,
Cusack's doing his
you're trying to get into films and like you get known for being the rapist in a movie and you think, fuck, I'm never going to shit that, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think anything with rape and something like that definitely bows to have an 18 and stuff like that for sure. I always believe there's a movie should be R21, a 21 rating, because I think sometimes movies, like, there's certain things in movies where even though you're 18, it's kind of like, oh, it's cut, it's censored or whatever.
Yeah.
I often think that the age ratings should be really brought up in movies. Do you know what I mean? It's fuck cinema and all that. I know it's all about ratings and stuff like that, but...
yeah, that's the problem. Politics, too much of it. But you're absolutely right, like, I mean, let's say... But then again, I suppose... I mean, the world's proven time and time again that it takes a psycho to be a 17-year-old kid who takes it all the wrong way, but then you can go the other way around and be like a 40-year-old lonely man who decides, fuck it, I'm going to do some mental shit.
Well,
so
sometimes...
when it comes to, like, what people are exposed to, I think it just comes down to the fact that there's just a lot of...
The thing is...
people out there.
I think with ratings are sometimes based on language, violence, blood, gore, but sometimes ideas. Like, you watch PG movies and then you look at the stories, or like there's the car there, like you look at the movies and the ideas they've got and the twists and turns and you're like, hang on a minute, that's a very clever, it can be quite manipulated, do you know what I mean? Because then they can be exposed at a younger age. This, you go out and you go, it's an 18, it's an action, or it's just flat out fucking fun, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's never going to happen. Like, when you see the car now flying behind there, you go, yeah, this movie is pure popcorn. That's what this movie is, pure popcorn.
Yeah. And the question now, did he get insurance?
Oh, you fucking would on that car, like, Jesus.
Yeah, but does that cover it? being tied up against a plane and just drop from the sky. Imagine somebody in a solicitor's office sitting there going, I mean, no, you're not getting any money for that.
Well, that's it. It's in Bad Boys, isn't it? When Martin Lawrence shoots up the unloved Ferrari in Bad Boys 2, and he's like, can I get a thing for that? He's like, no, it's not a police procedure car.
And the little girl's still alive, so we can all go back to liking to Sammy again.
And then the joke there is the guy's still running.
Still running.
Which again, now it was done in another way, it probably would have been given to somebody as a cameo, like Rob Schreiner running away. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you fucking asshole! Oh shit! Like, you know what I mean? Off he goes.
I like that. I like the whole singing a song made famous by a band that was there in a plane crash.
Yeah. You imagine if they didn't get the rights to it and they filmed this scene, they'd be like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. And it's all going hot now for Poe. Now, was Poe short for something? Or was that just a name?
Poe.
Poe, yeah.
Poe can be Cameron Poe, it's his name, isn't it? Excuse me.
Poe.
Yes,
I'm going to knock on wood and say that I've only got a cough because it seemed to be, that's all.
Well, the guy just behind the back, in the background as an extra, is one of the Martins in Sons of Anarchy, the Mayans. He's the leader of the Mayans. Right. So that's him in a very quick role, like. You might see him again. I didn't
recognise him because he's the one who's been in a few different things, hasn't he?
He's been quite a lot. He turns up again, I'll show you. He's on the far right of the guys in the back there.
Yeah.
Doesn't his mate get shot? Does his mate survive or does he get killed?
No, he survives. He gets popped in the stomach, I think, but I'm pretty sure he gets kind of carried away in an ambulance at the end.
I still remember that film In Deep with LL Cool J. When they shoot the guy up the arse, it's the most painfulest way to go. It's just like, that's grim. Don't move when the bunny gets it.
Because that's how Bubba goes in Forrest Gump.
Don't move when the bunny gets it. Apache helicopters as well.
Yeah, I see. And how they managed to miss out of all those gunshots.
Let's keep an eye on these extras here because I'm sure the guys just ran past the camera. But again, it'll be a case of just waiting to get his big break. Like Chico before. You know, Chico's gone, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he goes all the way back to like the Predators and shit like that and Speed and...
Yeah. Although you've got to let him survive because he's a villain. Well, he's not a villain, but he's a prisoner, so he's obviously a bad guy doing wrong. But just judging on where they put the bloodstain, that is instant movie death scene. You don't get shot that part of the stomach and survive. Not in most films, anyway.
Tell you what, I watched Leon the other week at work in the bit where she gets shot in the bathtub. It's just like, that is a brutal gun fatality, that.
Yeah.
That green screen of that side shot, it does not age well.
No.
Let's have a look, see if he fights the guy I've just been on about. It's not the blondie.
Right, well, blondie's down.
No, it's not him. He's got no top one. I think he's already went to the back of the plane to shoot.
Yeah. I think he was the one who, he kind of jumps over the camera, or at least it looks that way. See, that could be a sequel. Could be Baby-O. Because he's going back to prison at the end of this anyway, so... Could just be, we're going to make a deal with you. You know, if you help us out, we'll shorten your sentence. Then it can end with him and Nicolas Cage getting Mai Tais, playing Yachi. See?
Poe!
I'm making the film for Halloween.
Carl McSorley's sequels, the new book. What if?
But that's it. You throw me a film that never got a sequel, and I'll give you a synopsis.
A 5-minute synopsis.
That's a lot of bullets for a lock. This is where the dickhead finally gets to make a chance to be a reasonable person.
Hold fire.
A nice shot.
Aye. Cyrus! What? Boom. Nice shot that with the sun in the background, like.
Again, yeah. And we're now in Vegas.
Yeah, this is obviously the final stage or the final act.
Which got to be an expensive shot, though, the way this goes down, because it really is in Vegas, isn't it?
I mean, the plate shots and all that. I mean, I love it how he's got a helmet from somewhere. He's never left the fucking...
Yeah, he's army. I guess he's an army helmet, so it's not really...
I always
from the landfield.
I always love when you look for movies like this and you see like really old, out-of-date movies, posters and stuff like that. I mean, this will all have to be green screen. You couldn't be flying a fucking aeroplane like that over Vegas, man.
No, I reckon the actual crash show, that was on set, wasn't it? That was on scene at Vegas. Must have shut
there, he's just passing the camera there before Perry Saturn turned up and shouting. That's the actor I was on about. He's been in stuff, definitely.
Yeah.
He's definitely the leader of the Mayans and Sons of Anarchy. Hard Rock Cafe, there you go. Bit of coin, smash the sign. Oh yes, of course, that's pays for itself in the movie. Yep. Not a fan of hard rock, like, not a fan.
Nah, you're not yet to see, because we finally got one in our local area, and
don't get us wrong, when I filmed there a few months ago with Cav, you know, they treated them all right, but obviously, just previously, like the food and all that, I'm not a fan.
Well, it's all about the kind of the reputation in it. Unfortunately, it's they forget that you got to get them to come back. Whereas half the time they just rely on the fact that people are forgiven because they go, we got to go to the Hard Rock Cafe. Doesn't matter if it's any good or not.
Now, the plane is a mixture of miniatures and rear screen projection.
Right.
You can just see, like there, that shot, you can just see the shine.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's obviously...
Now, I've never had an interest in Vegas.
Huh?
I've never had an interest in going to Vegas.
Nah, it's one of the things, I mean... I'm not a gambling man. I feel like I'd get over excited and just lose a fortune. But at the same time, I feel like, I don't know, never really appealed to us. Many places in the States I'd like to go, but...
No, with Brit, when we were trying to sort out what we want to do in America next year, it's that fucking really cheesy fucking spiral thing of the fucking propeller goes through. Showing about going from LA to Nashville for a night, and I went, what? Oh, I just want to go to Nashville, we can drive there. And I went, from LA to Nashville? It's 1,800 miles?
Like, for you two, it would be pretty classic case of jackpots. Happens in every movie in the 80s and 90s, isn't it? Crashing into a casino and it hits a jackpot. You could do that though. You could just like rent a car out and just do a 2-3 week road trip from like travel from state to state, go and stay in like motels and stuff like that, and just kind of live the American life.
No, it's got bad news written all over it. I've seen too many movies about road trips.
Which, in all fairness, this is where the film could really just end, couldn't it? It didn't have to have the chase scene. I'm not saying they shouldn't have had the chase scene. I just feel like, in terms of when you're looking at the script,
well, it's a bit like they're already fucked up in the fire truck and
to sort of have a little bit of a scrap here, and then have Cyrus kind of caught or dead or whatever. But now the whole idea of going on a bit of a chase scene, that just seems to be a bit more money doing it. Them flying around with the fire engine.
Well, it's for the third act final, isn't it?
Yeah. Like his face when he just pops out there.
They just find Danny Trejo's arm hanging there, don't they?
Yeah, which I think is a little bit of a nice little touch for detail. I mean, hold on a minute though, they carry him away. So let's be honest with you, what's keeping him standing?
True. Remember, Carl, it's just a movie.
Yes, it is. I'm going to quote that famous wrestling fan. It's real to me, damn it. Aye, Sally Bishop's going to take a couple of holidays, isn't she?
Who?
The guard, Sally Bishop.
Oh, right. Well, you remember you listened to this with the headphones on? Woman guard.
No, I'm not. I've just got subtitles on. I can't hear a thing. I'm only hearing what you're talking about. Whenever we do a podcast, I just have to... Obviously, as someone who's hearing impaired, I do a lot of lip reading when I was younger. But there's no way I've got any form of sound going on other than what I hear from you. Otherwise, I'd never hear anything.
Got every on the LA they've got the fucking Las Vegas police force there, and it's them two on a bike.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of cheesy action movies in the 90s. Because the 80s, the 80s really 70s had some, 80s, I mean, the special effects, the stunt crews, the practicals, the mechanicals, everything, they got it, But, when you got the best of the best in a movie like this, they're gonna out. But again, once again, they know what it is.
Yeah.
It's a popcorn movie.
Well, this is it. I mean, obviously, when you think of Nicolas Cage, I mean, I just wonder what his paycheck was at the end of this year. And how on earth had he spent the last 40 odd years trying to pay his debts? You know what I mean? It just makes you wonder. I mean, don't get me wrong, the bloke just went and bought everything he ever wanted.
It's keeping up appearances.
Did he buy a plane?
It's keeping up appearances though, mate, as well, you know what I mean? Because, to get to know people, you have to throw, sometimes they call them red parties or white parties, and especially around a movie like this, and, you work 5 days a week and you've got, the weekend off or whatever, and they'll host a party and they all try to do out each other, do you know what I mean? You walk in, I mean, I've been to parties, and the thing, but I've been to parties where there's been 10 grand's worth of cocaine lying around. Just, no one touches it, it's just there if you want it. And it's whose dick's the biggest of the parties, do you know what I mean? And,
I wouldn't go to them sort of parties, mate.
Oh,
keep me taking my pants, but
I'm just, you know what I mean, the metaphor. I mean, there could be a female or a male.
I don't know, you just mentioned that you went to a party with cocaine and dicks.
Yeah, well,
Saying whatever you got up to, mate, that's fine.
No, but it's just that kind of book out the biggest floor of a fucking hotel or pay for the most expense. And if you do that, you know what I mean, you could make a movie for maybe $100,000. You might fucking come out with fucking 60 grand, and then you got to pay a tax, and you think, what the fuck happened that night?
Well, that's true, yeah.
So there is stuff like that.
Gets it.
But if you play it safe, you go there, you get your hotel paid for, you get your per diem, and then you've got this money to walk out with. Because a lot of people, as well, were working in Europe and then not declaring the money coming back in, or would smuggle it back in and stuff like that. And this is where there was a lot of crackdown for coming, especially when Hollywood felt the sting, and it wasn't going into Canada to Vancouver, and you had places like Bulgaria opening up, and there's some really, really cool people in Bulgaria's film business. But this is what was happening. When the money starts moving away from America, then right, we need to quickly get off that and watch the death of Overkill here of Cyrus the fucking virus, because it's about to happen. Right, very quickly.
They need to make it very determined that he definitely died.
Well, he's handcuffed here. Ready? The handcuff goes off. He goes flying through the window.
But that in itself should be enough to kill him. Basically, let's be honest.
He's electrocuted. Right, he's fallen. Right, so Diamond Dog's dead. He's just randomly landed on a conveyor belt. Right, this is in the middle of Vegas, by the way. That's a really cool shot there. So he's on a conveyor belt. That's the last we've seen of him there. And it just so happens...
Where'd the money come from?
There, well, look here. He's going up a conveyor belt. There's now a fucking piston coming down. And then all of a sudden, really hard cut. Looks up, head. I mean, what about an overkill? That is just totally fucking ridiculous.
What a way to go, though. Never where did all that money come from? What did they crash into?
Did you not see it, man? It was a fucking...
Cars, I thought.
They go... What are you talking about? It was the fucking armoured truck.
What is I just saw a truck. Anyway, let's be honest with you. Seriously, Cage, you're still going to give that scruffy old bunny to your daughter? Oh, wait, mate. There's fucking money lying out, give her a couple of 20s and be out.
One way to get free extras. Free money! It's fake, though.
Yeah.
Just hold on it for 20 years, then put it on eBay. Signed.
True.
Conner.
It'd be class if all those dollar notes had like Nicolas Cage face on it.
But again, if you were talking about them parties before, you imagine being in Vegas all week filming and the amount of cost it would have been if you want to be the guy throwing the party that weekend.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because if you're the star, you normally mean. But then if you're not the star and you want to be the star, and it's all about who you know, because you might meet somebody at that party going, oh, I'm making a movie next week, do you want to be in it? So sometimes it pays off to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. You got to be on the scene, don't you?
Yeah.
And now the infamous song. Very identifiable. I think one of these songs where you just know as soon as you hear it, you think of Conner.
I think the last who's next to her is the last one. Ross cheats on Rachel with in Friends, you know. With short hair.
Aye, it is, aye. The one who works at the Photoshop. Aye. I mean, the dialogue's a bit hokey here, but you kind of forgive it.
You don't like the bunny?
Yeah, HIV and every disease on the planet, but yeah, I'll still give it to my daughter.
I like it though as well. Like she hasn't changed a bit.
Aye, yeah. Well, I mean,
same haircut, everything.
Stuck in time, mate. Her husband was locked away. She's not lived her life. So did he get out early then? Because he got sentenced to 10 years. She's not 10 years old.
He got released for good behaviour.
Early release, yeah. Too much action from that child's face there, though. She's like a kid. The whole bottom lip biting and stuff like that always makes you laugh.
Ha! John Cusack doesn't need an action star. He can do so much with his face. And there we go. Funny ending.
Here we go.
I mean, not that there would be a fucking warrant straight out for him.
But this is it though, isn't it? Like, when you look at it, it's like, you gotta be honest, when you first saw this, you saw the scene, you just must have thought, oh, fucking hell, forget about him. Just like everyone else is just being picked up.
I
like,
love
nobody thinks about him.
endings like this. I think that a lot of films should have it for the main cast. Like, it reminds me of Predator and stuff like that. It just puts a name to the face.
Well, it's a nice, it's a badge, and it's like, you know what I mean? It's just a nice thing for the actors, because at the end of the day, you know, people are going to see names, and they're not going to know who they were, or, you know, if you're not big fans of movies and stuff like that, and it's nice just to go, oh, so that's who he's called. I think for an actor, it's just a nice touch, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're gonna get a little bit of recognition at the end.
And boom, there you go. Con Air.
That's it. 1997.
So how many put the buddies back in the box out of 10?
It's a tricky one. Mainly because it is, I wouldn't say it's a guilty pleasure, but it is, like you say, it's a popcorn film. There's not really much you can take serious with it, but at the same time, what it does well, it does really well. So I would say, off the top of my head, I'm going to give it, and I'm going to give it the same as Fifth Element. I'm going to give it 6. Put the bunny back in the box out of 10. It does what it needs to do as a film. You know, it carries the plot quite well. There's a lot of balls being juggled, which I quite like. The idea of, you know, it wasn't just a standard one location, just trying to, you know, kind of play off on one system. But at the same time, some of the dialogue was a bit, you know, hokey. But, yeah, one of my favourite Nick Cage films, so it is up there. But I think if I grade it as a film, you know, music's great. You know, acting is what it needs to be for a film like this. And, yeah, it ticks the boxes. 6, put the bunnies back in the box out of 10, I think, for me.
Yeah, I'd go for 6 as well. I mean, again, I haven't heard the score now, but I love the score. And it just reminds me of that 95 boom of new action stars. This is definitely one of them films we've talked about in the past where Van Damme would be on the decline to straight to VHS to DVD because the likes of Nicolas Cage came along. And Nicolas Cage is like a new Bruce Willis, John McClane kind of like everyday man, you know what I mean? So it's a very ensemble, unusual cast, you know. You know, the front cover, it's Nicolas Cage, John Cusack, John Malkovich, Jeremy Bruckheimer behind it.
You got Big Williams.
Yeah, but this is just on the front cover.
The back of him, but still.
Yeah. But like, I think with the movie, I think it knows what it is. It's full on popcorn. It's there for a bloody good time. It's funny. It's a little bit edgy at times, but I think the director of photography's done a great job. It booms with colour. Absolutely booms with colour.
Yeah.
The death scene at the end with Cyrus, I think, like, fuck off, man. Like, who came up with that death scene? Do you know what I mean?
But do you not think that is a collection of death scenes that they had written down and they couldn't decide which ones? So said, actually, why don't we just do all of them?
Yeah.
That strikes me as something where they just couldn't quite get the idea right, and I thought, what if we just massively go over the top? Because like you say, you've said it yourself, popcorn film, it's an over-the-top film, so you can get away with it, really.
Well, it's a big climax and ending to which, to be honest with you, just looks fucking stupid, do you know what I mean? I mean, Swamp Thing's death is so quick, you don't even realise he's dead. And it's just a little bit too much. But I think, you know, Nicolas Cage, I think if he didn't do the Alabama accent, didn't really go full on mullet, like long mullet, I think more like, I don't know, like, it's a John Cusack movie. It's a great one for John Cusack because it shows he's mainstream. Nicolas Cage is breaking out. The rest of the ensemble cast. Simon West didn't really go on to do many other big films like that. I mean, a lot of his other stuff has just flopped. But again, like, I remember seeing this at the pictures. I remember having the big box VHS, which I signed to Matty Connor in Steeltown because I wrote on it Con Dog instead of Con Air. And that was on display in the shop for absolutely ages. So I've got a lot of fun memories for it, but like, it's full on popcorn cheese, and that's what it needs to be. To be honest with you, it is stood up. It looks great. It's been well made. By everyone's, the crafting in this is well made. It's just when he gets killed at the end and bits and bobs, you're like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look there because obviously he does Con Air. And then he does The General's Daughter, which is 2 years later.
Yeah, John Rivoli,
and then he does Lara Croft Tomb Raider, which the first one did well, the second one, it kind of fell off. But then going massively up the list there in 2012, I didn't realise he directed The Mechanic, which was Jason Statham, so it must have gotten him in with the Expendables, because he directed Expendables 2.
Yeah.
Which I totally forgot he did that.
But yeah, I mean, have you ever seen The General's Daughter?
Is that the John Travolta one? Isn't it? Aye.
Great film, grim. But like,
you know where he's making his money though? Sorry, because I'm looking at his list. I didn't know this. I'll tell you what, he's made every penny of his career
TV.
on one thing he did in 1987. It wasn't TV. It wasn't movies.
Music video.
He did a music video. Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up.
Well, there you
that
go.
kid must be raking it in with that video.
That's it. It's like Michael Bay doing I Would Do Anything for Love by Meatloaf.
Yes.
You get yourself in there. Well, that's it.
And people still have a hard time figuring that song out.
Oh, God, it makes no fucking sense.
Well, it does. It just, you've got to think of how he says it. Like, it's not about not being able to do anything for love. He tells you things that he wouldn't do for love, and he wouldn't do that. So he literally, he did a video on it. I think, you can find it on YouTube. And I remember watching it years ago, and it's always how I've heard it. But it's like, it's literally how he says it. You won't pick it up in the song.
Yeah.
But when he tells you in real life, when he's talking, it makes all the sense in the world. It's just weird. It's just like, it is infamous, famous for people going, but what is it that he won't do for love? You know, but it's like, he literally tells you in the song. You know, it's weird, but yeah. But great music video, though. That was back in the day when music videos were like massive production, and
well, that was it. There was no YouTube or anything like that.
I don't know if I've actually watched a music video in years.
Well, the music videos back then, they were prime thing for MTV premieres, and countdowns. We used smash hits was a big thing, and again, it got it past, like, especially how massive TV and MTV was got it in, like. But now there's a new music video every day, and like, I mean, there's some absolutely amazing, very talented, very well made, very well edited music videos for bands that have had one thing then give up, and people never see them because of, like, they were flash in the pan. It's not mainstream music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%. Shame, but.
Right, well, this has been the podcast for Con Air, 2 back to back, and now I've got the painful thing of making both videos back to back. You haven't heard us cough.
Well, you know, if you're up for it, mate, we could do maybe a face-off or The Rock in the next couple of days if you want to do a trilogy.
Well, I'm still on the recover. I mean, you didn't hear us cough, but I did have to chug down some cough medicine a few times because I felt my voice going, and I was just like, quick, pass it over to Carl. But for now, thanks very much for listening to the Con Air podcast from me and Carl from It's Just a Podcast. Goodbye for now.
Bye.